The topic? Facebook. Socialist yard sale or evangelical pity party? The answer tonight on Now See This Here Now Then. Hello, I'm Richard Cranium. Tonight we look at the greatest threat to human life, the impending asteroid that will trigger the overdue eruption of the supervolcano under Yellowstone, leading to the complete collapse of Western civilization and the rise of Mad Max. That's right, I'm talking about Facebook. In the entire history of the last 10 years, no single company has created an addictive yet completely polarizing product that can sway elections, celebrity popularity, and taco restaurant patronage, like Facebook. And they did it all without having to add cocaine. But first, have you ever felt like you just shouldn't eat that cupcake? Or had to turn down a piece of pie fresh out of the oven because it just didn't seem appealing at the time? Or maybe halfway through that fourth trip to the pizza bar, you realize that one more slice would be just too much. Well, there is nothing wrong with you. According to a new study by scientists at the Golden Corral, the feeling is one of having already consumed the exact amount of food your body will tolerate. Well, that's one less thing I have to confess to the Holy Father. I feel much better. Thank you, Golden Corral. We will miss you. The Book of Faces. It was once sold as the place for community connections you didn't realize you were missing. A platform for posting millions of hours of pet movies and thousands of pictures of food. It seemed perfect, a utopia. But then Americans happened. The platform, originally built so a shy, reclusive, socially awkward super nerd could get chicks, has turned into the poster child of just how disgusting people can be with each other, while selling the same people their unwanted crap they're too lazy to carry to Goodwill. The most disconcerting thing about the tweet book is the privacy issue. In order to openly engage with this method of social distancing, we must first openly submit a large chunk of private pieces of our lives. For some idiotic reason, we do so willingly, so we don't feel left behind like Kirk Cameron in that movie where everyone on Facegram disappeared to tweet with Jesus, leaving everyone else left to use Tumblr and LinkedIn. A true apocalyptic nightmare, to be sure. The issue actually isn't that we give the information up, but that FaceTube isn't really transparent to what they do with all of that information. Observe Exhibit A.
Facebook has detailed profiles on people who have never signed up for Facebook, yes or no?
Congressman, in general, we collect data of people who have not signed up for Facebook for security purposes to prevent the kind of scraping that you were just referring to.
So these are called shadow profiles? Is that what they've been referred to by some?
Congressman, I'm not familiar with that.
I'll refer to them as shadow profiles for today's hearing. On average, how many data points does Facebook have on each Facebook user?
I do not know off the top of my head.
So the average for non-Facebook platforms is 1,500. It's been reported that Facebook has as many as 29,000 data points for an average Facebook user. Do you know how many points of data that Facebook has on the average non-Facebook user?
Congressman, I do not off the top of my head, but I can have our team get back to you afterwards.
I appreciate that. It's been admitted by Facebook that you do collect data points on non-average users. So my question is, can someone who does not have a Facebook account opt out of Facebook's involuntary data collection?
Congressman, anyone can turn off and opt out of any data collection for ads, whether they use our services or not. But in order to prevent people from scraping public information, which again, the search feature that you brought up only showed public information, people's names and profiles and things that they'd made public, but nonetheless, we don't want people aggregating even public information.
But
so block that. So we need to know when someone is trying to repeatedly access our services.
If I may, Mr. Zuckerberg, I'm about out of time. It may surprise you that we've not talked about this a lot today. You've said everyone controls their data, but you're collecting data on people that are not even Facebook users, that have never signed a consent, a privacy agreement, and you're collecting their data. And it may surprise you that on Facebook's page, when you go to, I don't have a Facebook account and would like to request all my personal data stored by Facebook, It takes you to a form that says, go to your Facebook page, and then on your account settings, you can download your data. So you're directing people that don't have access, don't even have a Facebook page to have to sign up for a page to erase their data. We've got to fix that.
That, boys and girls, was a robot. What concerns myself and many others is not that they will willingly not tell us where the information is and what they're going to do with it later, but that it is being sold behind the scenes to advertisers, political action groups, and other technology companies so they can in turn target you and I in every way imaginable. Take, for example, the current face-based algorithm that they claim they have adjusted. It prioritizes what shows up on your news feed so that if you're a solid liberal who has a history of reading largely left-leaning posts, they will prioritize people in your feed who have done the same. And of course, they do the same thing with the right-leaning users of the Instabook. The larger issue that comes from this social isolation in the vacuum of your news feed is that political ideology takes precedence over everything. People will isolate and ghost one another over one small ideological disagreement. Where the nastiness comes into play is our need to friend everyone we meet, not so we can actually be friends, but so we can see what kind of person they really are. If they clash with our little realm of reality, we start to criticize them openly in a public forum. We troll them. And for what purpose? And then there are the real trolls. Observe Exhibit B.
Social distance. After hitting publish, he could leave his computer, go make dinner, and not have to look Anita in the face. Because the communication takes place in a virtual space, it's easy for many internet users to convince themselves that the people, the subject matter, and even in some cases their own actions are somehow not real. Another key feature of online communication is performance. We tailor our words and expressions with an audience in mind. The misogynists attacking Anita Sarkeesian were doing so, at least in part, to draw a reaction from an audience. The beat-up Anita Sarkeesian game was an interactive performance. The creator vividly staged his own views and invited players to get up on stage with him. Finally, at least so far, the internet has largely been a consequence-free zone. Law enforcement's use of the internet has mainly been directed toward piracy, terrorism, and child pornography. And only very recently have they really begun to investigate things like online harassment, hate speech, and death threats. But I'm not just talking about a lack of state-sanctioned consequences here, which, let's face it, tend not to apply to everyone equally, and in many cases actually have the effect of making things worse. I'm also talking about a lack of social consequences, like maybe facing a torrent of criticism for your garbage behavior. A dominant wisdom that says don't feed the trolls means that many misogynists and other bigots never have to face their critics, because their critics are encouraged to shut up. Not only does this mean that they can continue their behavior with impunity, but it gives them the impression that their views are popular.
I believe the phrase, "a bridge too far," would be considered a bad pun. Maybe. Troll culture is, as we all know, as toxic as a Kirk Cameron God film. And it is addictive because Snapbook has programmed us to stay in our respective news feeds, and anyone who crosses in should be openly marked and destroyed. Virtually, of course. It's also extremely easy to hide behind a computer screen for all of us. I mean, look at me. I'm hiding behind a middle-aged mixture of John Oliver, a very bad Walter Cronkite, all with a hint of a drunken Dudley Moore on YouTube. And that is what makes social media as a whole so enticing. We are able to hide behind creations of our imagination. Reminds me of something my wife Vacant told me the other day when she said, "Richard, I loathe you. That woman is my passion." But I think the ultimate issue with FaceChan lies with how deep it has penetrated our lives. Those of us who are on it are bound by the rules of egotism and curiosity to constantly check it for updates on something meaningless that we have posted. There's no possible way that we are all that interesting, yet we feel the need to make ourselves appear more interesting, more active, more intelligent than we actually are. Social media as a whole feeds off of all of our insecurities, troll and non-troll alike. We all want the same thing, to be noticed, to be desired. Facebook, in its ultimate flaw, exploits those needs, capitalizes off of them, and then destroys them. The Facebook will not go away anytime soon. Neither will the toxicity of its relationship models. Its counterparts are not going anywhere either, and for that we are doomed. I joked about Armageddon earlier, but maybe the Four Horsemen have already arrived, and they have set up camp on every social platform out there. Maybe those silly Kirk Cameron God movies were metaphorically predicting the social media age and what it would ultimately do: divide us. That, my dear friends, is Facebook's real crime. That is all for tonight. Join us next week when we discuss empty notebooks, socialist diaries, or evangelical paths to Satan. You decide. For now, I am Richard Cranium. Ta-ta.